I used to believe that silence meant harmony. That if two people could share a home without conflict, they'd unlocked some quiet truth about love. But I found out silence can rot, too. Slow, unseen, poisonous. The kind that settles in when honesty hides behind practiced smiles. My name's Daniel. I'm 39, a project manager in Chicago. Until a few months ago, I was sure my marriage was built on something solid. My wife, Claire, had that rare kind of warmth that pulled people close. Effortlessly. Charming, always laughing, always the spark in every room. We'd been married 9 years long. Enough to collect memories, share jokes, and the easy rhythm of routine. But comfort, I learned, can be deceptive. When Claire said she was taking a week-long wellness retreat with her coworkers, I didn't hesitate. I even encouraged it. She'd been tense, distant lately. I thought time away might help. She left on a Sunday morning, kissed my cheek, her suitcase trailing softly behind her, perfume lingering in the doorway long after she was gone. The first few days felt normal. A handful of texts, some ocean photos, smoothies, yoga mats. By Thursday, the messages grew shorter, cooler. Friday came and went without a word. I told myself she needed space, even from me. She returned the next Monday at sunset. I remember the sound of her key turning, like a note held too long. She looked radiant, too radiant, not calm, not rested, but glowing in a way peace doesn't explain. Hey you, she whispered, setting her bag down. Miss me? Her voice trembled at the edge of the word, small enough that most would miss it. I didn't. I smiled anyway. Dinner was light, full of stories and laughter. She talked about disconnecting from the world, about silence and clarity. But her eyes betrayed her, wandering somewhere I couldn't follow, like she was replaying another life in her mind. After dinner, she excused herself for a shower. I stayed behind, listening to the water's hum. That's when I saw it, the first fracture. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. The preview read, "Miss you already. Same time. Next weekend." I froze, not in anger, but in recognition. The kind that steals your breath, because your heart already knows. I didn't open it. Didn't need to. Every late night, every small deflection, every half smile, it all aligned in cruel symmetry. By the time she stepped out, hair damp, face flushed, the air had changed. She didn't notice, or pretended not to. She slid into bed, back turned, murmuring something about being tired. I lay awake beside her, counting her breaths. At 2 a.m., I rose, walked to the living room, and sat in the dark. I didn't feel rage or grief, just a hollow stillness, and beneath it, clarity. Morning came. She moved through it like nothing had shifted. Coffee. A kiss on the cheek. A question about my meetings. But the world tilted anyway. That night, everything broke, not with shouting, but with silence. She came home humming softly, that same tune she used when she wanted to sound light-hearted. I waited in the kitchen, pretending to scroll my phone, listening as her footsteps slowed near the bedroom. Then nothing. A silence thick, enough to suffocate. I didn't have to look to know she'd seen it. On the bed, folded neatly on her pillow, lay the truth she'd tried to hide, a single photo, printed from her phone. Her hand in his face turned toward her, smiling as sunlight touched her cheek like it hadn't in years. No message, no accusation. Just the image itself, saying everything. When I finally stepped into the doorway, she was sitting on the edge of the bed, the picture trembling in her hands. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice splintering like thin glass. I didn't answer. I just leaned against the doorway, watching her fight for the right lie. "It's not what you think," she said, shaking her head. It was just what? I asked quietly. A retreat for two? Her lips parted, then closed again. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was heavy, final. I watched her unravel, not with tears or drama, but in that quiet collapse that comes when the truth finally wins. She stood, reaching toward me. Daniel, I made a mistake. It's over. It didn't mean anything. I was lonely. The word landed like a bruise. Because I'd been lonely too. But I hadn't gone, looking for someone else to fill the space. I'd stayed. I believed. I walked past her, sat on the edge of the bed and looked down at the photo, still crumpled in her hand. You came home, I said softly, and acted like nothing had changed. You looked me in the eyes, laughed over dinner, kissed me goodnight, pretending I'd never see the truth. Tears slipped down her face, slow and silent. She dropped to her knees, clutching my hands. Please, Daniel, don't do this. Don't throw us away over one mistake. I looked at her then, really looked, and saw distance where love used to live. A stranger wearing the face I once adored. I'm not throwing anything away, I said quietly. You already did, the moment you chose to lie. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The house felt too tight, the air too thick. Then I stood, walked to the dresser, and took out a small envelope. Inside was a single sheet, my new lease, signed that morning. I'm not angry, I told her, placing it on the nightstand. I'm just done. Her sobs deepened. Daniel, please, we can fix this. I'll do anything. Therapy, whatever it takes. I shook my head. You can't rebuild something you've already replaced. As I turned to leave, her voice cracked. Behind me, fragile and breaking. But I didn't turn back. There comes a moment when love stops being forgiveness and starts being survival. I walked out, without slamming the door, without another word, just the sound of my footsteps echoing through the hall. Steady, certain, free. The night air met me like a baptism. Cold, clean, honest. I took one deep breath and felt something I hadn't known in years. Peace. She texted later, of course. Long paragraphs, memories, apologies. I never replied. Didn't block her either. I let the words sit there, unread, a quiet monument to what once was. People think love ends in fire, in screaming, in slammed doors. But sometimes it ends in stillness. In the moment you realize the person beside you stopped being yours long before you let them go. And in that stillness, you finally remember who you are.